This story explores mature emotional themes such as heartbreak, healing, and adult relationships. While it contains no explicit content, viewer discretion is advised. The letter had only 10 words. I couldn't stay, but I never stopped loving you.
No signature. No explanation.
Just silence that roared louder than truth. The photograph shook Anya more than she admitted. Someone had been watching them closely, carefully. Every step she thought she was taking forward now felt like part of someone else's design. Meher urged her to take it to the police, but Anya wasn't ready. Not yet. Not until she knew the truth from Rehan. She found him 2 towns away, on a cliff that overlooked the sea. He looked thinner, his eyes sunken with days of sleeplessness. But when he saw her, his guard crumbled. I didn't send the letter, he said before she could speak. But I knew Arif. The storm had passed, but the silence between Anya and Rehan hadn't. She returned to Daryabad alone, confused, heartbroken, and unsure of who or what to trust. Meher met her at the door, phone in hand, face pale. You need to see this. It was a video, grainy, low quality but unmistakable. Arif. Alive. Speaking directly into the camera. If you're watching this it means I'm done running. But I need you to know, it wasn't an accident I left. It was Meher. She knew everything. She made me disappear. The room spun. Anya stared at her best friend. Tell me this is a lie. The second letter shattered what little certainty Anya had left. Arif had spiraled in silence. Paranoia, obsession, emotional manipulation. The confession detailed threats, lies, and a final plan to vanish and make Meher take the fall. He'd weaponized his disappearance to punish them both. Anya wept not for the man she lost, but for the illusion she had clung to. She confronted Meher at the town's lighthouse, once their secret childhood retreat, now a place where trust had burned to ash. Anya held the letter in trembling hands. He planned to ruin you, she said quietly, and I nearly let him. Meher, eyes swollen from sleepless nights, nodded. I never wanted you to find out like this. But I couldn't let you love a ghost that was built on cruelty. Anya stepped forward. You should have told me the truth. I didn't think you'd survive it. I didn't. But I'm still here. They stood in silence as the sea crashed below, 2 friends broken but not beyond repair. And then Rehan arrived. He had come back not for closure, but for a chance, however fragile, to start over. He handed Anya a small book. Inside were photographs. Quiet moments of her, laughing, painting, staring at the sea.
Real moments.
No lies. I didn't save you, he said. But I stayed because you saved me. Anya looked at him, heart cracked wide open. She had a choice now, not between 2 men, but between living in fear or beginning again. She took his hand. For the first time in years the sky didn't feel so heavy. Meher's jaw clenched but her eyes didn't flinch. I did it for you. Arif was dangerous. You don't know everything. He was unraveling Anya. He said things, dark things. I tried to stop it the right way, but when no one listened, you buried the truth, Anya whispered. Months had passed since that day at the lighthouse. The storms, both in the sky and in Anya's heart, had finally calmed. Anya had decided not to leave Daryabad. The town that once held her pain had now become the place where she rebuilt her life. She reopened her studio, this time with a new project. Calligraphy pieces paired with photographs, blending her ink with Rehan's lens. Together they told stories of real people, real emotions, and second chances. Meher, after some time apart, returned with humility and strength. Their friendship had changed, but it wasn't gone. Some bonds are tested by fire, but they don't break. They bend and reshape. As for Rehan, he stayed. He traveled less now, but when he did, he always came back. And each time Anya would be waiting, sometimes with chai, sometimes with silence, but always with love. She had let go of the past, not by forgetting but by understanding. Arif was a chapter that helped her grow, but it wasn't the whole book. In the end, Paper Moons and Promises wasn't just about lost love. It was about courage. The courage to face the truth, to forgive, and to love again, even when it hurts. Because some promises aren't meant to be kept, but to be healed. Movie camera, did you enjoy the story? Speech balloon, what kind of stories would you like to hear next? Tell us in the comments. White heavy checkmark video description and metadata. YouTube optimized title. Paper Moons and Promises. Full story emotional South Asian romance Hindi/Urdu Storytime description. A heartwarming, emotional romantic story set in coastal South Asia. Paper Moons and Promises follows Aanya and Rehan, two broken souls who find healing, love, and truth amidst lies and heartbreak. This complete story explores deep emotional themes like forgiveness, second chances, and the power of friendship. Hashtag South Asian romance, hashtag emotional storytime, hashtag Paper Moons and Promises, hashtag healing love, hashtag YouTube story, hashtag romantic drama, hashtag Hindi Urdu stories. Disclaimer. This story explores mature emotional themes but contains no explicit content. Viewer discretion is advised. Meher stepped closer, her voice trembling. I protected you from a man who would have destroyed you. And I'd do it again. Just then Anya's phone buzzed. A second video. This time Rehan's voice. Check the envelope again. There was a second page. She rushed to her desk. Her fingers trembled as she unfolded the yellowed paper, hidden inside the envelope's lining. It was Arif's handwriting again. But this time it was a confession. What he had done. And what he had planned next. Anya dropped the letter. Her knees gave out. Nothing was as it seemed. The world slowed. Anya couldn't breathe. Rehan explained everything. How he had once been engaged to Arif's sister. How Arif had fled their family after a terrible fallout, disappearing, erasing all ties. And how months ago, before Rehan arrived in Daryabad, someone left a package at his doorstep. The letter, a photo of Anya, and a note that read, "Tell her the truth or I will." Anya staggered back, torn between betrayal and understanding. So you came to warn me, or to watch me break? Rehan looked at her, eyes raw. I came to protect you. But I stayed because I fell in love with you. Thunder cracked in the distance, and the wind howled around them. A storm was coming in the sky and in their hearts. Anya turned away, tears burning down her face. Back in town, Meher received a call. The photo's print date? Just 3 days ago. Whoever was behind this, they were still close. Watching. Anya stared at the paper long into the morning. It wasn't just about closure. It was a wound reopening. Her missing fiancé Arif had vanished 3 years ago without a trace. And now this letter, with no return address, arrived days after Rehan entered her life. She began to question everything. Was Rehan truly a stranger? Or had fate twisted something deeper into their connection? Meanwhile, Rehan sat miles away on a bus leaving Daryabad, trying to disappear again. But guilt clung to him like sea salt on skin. He hadn't meant to feel anything for Anya. She was supposed to be another brief stop on his broken journey. But her quiet strength had shaken him. And the moment he almost kissed her, he realized he couldn't lie to her much longer. Back in town, another thread of mystery unraveled. Anya's best friend, Meher, a sharp-minded lawyer with a fierce heart, dug through old mail records and discovered something odd. The letter hadn't been mailed from a distant city. It was dropped locally. Someone nearby wanted Anya to believe in ghosts. And just as Anya prepares to confront her memories, a photograph arrives at her doorstep. It's of her and Rehan at the kite festival, but taken from afar. And on the back, a handwritten note. Not everything lost is meant to be found. Some promises are folded like paper, beautiful, delicate, and meant to fly, until the wind changes. That it had been weeks since the kite festival. But the moment lingered in Anya's mind like ink that wouldn't dry. Rehan kept showing up. At the old tea stall near the harbor, at the bookstore where she did custom calligraphy, even at the cliffside ruins where she often went to think. Each time it felt less like coincidence, and more like unfinished sentences waiting to be spoken. Rehan wasn't good at stillness. He'd seen too much of the world, wars, weddings, wonder, but never stayed anywhere long enough to grow roots. He told Anya stories through photographs, but not all of them were true. The real ones, of the woman he left behind, of a promise he couldn't keep, remained buried behind every smile he gave her. Anya had her own ghosts. She still slept in the room where her parents once danced to old ghazals. Her mother's voice sometimes echoed in the hallway when the wind hit just right. And that unopened letter, addressed to her in a trembling hand, sealed before her fiancé vanished 3 years ago, still sat in the bottom drawer of her desk. As they grew closer, so did the silence between them. Conversations were soft and safe, but their eyes often said too much. One evening under the lanterns of an abandoned pier, Rehan almost kissed her. Almost. But something in his expression stopped her. A flicker of fear. Or guilt. He left that night without a word. And the next morning, Aanya opened the letter. Aanya had always believed in magic. Not the kind with wands and fairy dust, but in midnight conversations, shared silence under rainy skies, and the unspoken vow in someone's eyes. At 29, she had learned to carry the weight of love that lingers long after it's left. A talented calligrapher with a quiet soul, she lived in her grandmother's house, surrounded by old love letters and fading memories. Then came Rehan, 34, a travel photographer with a storm in his heart and a camera slung across his shoulder like armor. He wasn't supposed to stop in the sleepy coastal town of Darya Abad, but fate has a way of redrawing our maps. Their first encounter wasn't cinematic, it was sharp. Aanya accidentally ruined one of his photographs at the town's yearly kite festival. He accused. She ignored. But life, like paper, folds in unexpected ways. And over coffee, ink, and long walks near the sea, their barriers began to unravel. But Rehan has a past. One he never photographs. One that follows him like a shadow and asks him every night, "How long before you run again?" Aanya too is keeping something. A letter she's never opened. A promise made under a paper moon that still haunts her dreams. And tonight, as the sky swells with clouds and old songs play in the distance, one of them is about to break a rule they swore they wouldn't.